Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about self-care tips. I have my sister with me today. Her name is Rachel. Rachel, do you want to introduce yourself?
My name's Rachel, and I am a social worker. And Sarah told me I should probably let you know that as a social worker, my background is in mental health. I'm a therapist. Most people don't know social workers do that. And I'm really excited to help her share some self-care tips with you guys today.
I want to preface this conversation by saying that I am not a mental health professional in any way. My degree is in communications. I just really enjoy learning about mental health. I try to, read about it, and I glean wisdom from my sister since she's really knowledgeable about the subject. But yeah, I definitely don't have a degree in it. I just want to let you guys know that.
I am a mental health professional, and I have to say, if you feel like you're really struggling, definitely reach out to someone. We're actually going to link some resources below if you are struggling and you do need additional help. So those will be available to you. Mm-hmm. I love that Sarah likes talking about mental health. I think that's something that a lot of people are trying to do. I know over the last probably decade, we've really worked to decrease the stigma related to mental health, but there's definitely still one that exists, and the more that we talk about it, the less taboo that it seems. So it's a good conversation to have.
We're going to be talking about self-care. So the big question is, what is self-care? Rachel?
Self-care is the intentional actions that we take every day to improve our mental, physical, and emotional health, so essentially our overall well-being.
So self-care is very similar to an oxygen mask on an airplane. You have to put yours on first, take care of yourself before you can help somebody else.
Another way to think of it is we can't pour from an empty cup. So if we're giving out all of our energy to help other people in our lives, but we're not refilling that by taking good care of ourselves each day, we're eventually going to run out.
Very good. Okay, so we're going to be walking through the emotional, mental, and physical self-care tips. It's just a little list I've made. So we're going to go through them and just talk about them. The first emotional self-care tip is do something that makes you happy. So Rachel, do you want to elaborate?
So that's really specific to individuals. So whatever makes you happy, and a lot of times we try to, like I said, these are intentional actions we're doing. Maybe you really like bird watching, but it's the dead of winter and there's 3 feet of snow and not a whole lot of birds to look at. But maybe you also really enjoy cooking, and well, you have to cook dinner every day anyway. So picking a special meal that's maybe meaningful to you or create some sort of emotion that is good for you. That could be doing something that makes you happy that day. It doesn't have to be, big, elaborate, or creative. It's just doing something that elicits good feelings for you.
For me, that would include food. Donuts, tacos, all of those elicit good feelings for me. So the next emotional self-care tip is going to be seeing a therapist, or right now during quarantine, calling a therapist. I have a friend who she's seeing a therapist every 2 weeks, and since she can't go in the office and see her, she does video chats with her on Zoom or Skype or something like that. So I think it's really important to see a therapist. Now Rachel actually is a therapist, so maybe she can shed some more light on that.
I would absolutely recommend everybody see a therapist.
We all need therapy.
We all need therapy. Sometimes even your therapists need therapy. That's okay. But if you've tried therapy before and you were like, yeah, I tried that and that didn't really work out, remember that we're all individuals, and just as if you meet people on the street that you don't really click with, sometimes you can not click with your therapist, and that's okay. It doesn't mean that therapy isn't good or right for you. Maybe that therapist just wasn't good for you, and if you still think like I really would like that but it didn't really work, try finding a different therapist and maybe give it another shot.
It's a good tip. It's good. So the third one is going to be unfollow toxic people on social media. So I feel like over the past few weeks with this whole crazy global pandemic that's happening right now, there's a lot of positive posts, but there's also a lot of negative posts. And there's been people in my life, like personally, like friends I have, people just that I know in my community that I've had to go through and just unfollow them. I don't want to unfriend them, but I just don't want to see their negativity every day, because I feel like whenever you really absorb that kind of negativity, it does nothing good for your mental health. And so I just had to go through and unfollow those people, and that's okay. I did that for myself. I feel like it's a type of boundary I set for myself, and it's really been positive in my life. So
And I would even recommend not even just social media and the people that you're following, but limiting yourself to the exposure of the news stories. Obviously, I mean, I like to see what's going on in the world around me. I like to watch the news, but I limit myself to that exposure, especially given the nature of the news right now. There's a lot of positive news out there, so you have to be careful what outlets you're searching for that news from.
Yeah, it's really good. So the fourth emotional self-care tip that we're going to talk about is experience your emotions. I think that a lot of times we as humans, we don't want to kind of sit in our emotions and really experience those feelings. We don't want to be sad or anxious or, I feel like we live in a world where like Pinterest quotes and I don't know, things are kind of like pushed up on us all the time.
Positive.
Yeah.
Happy.
Yeah. And, that's not reality. Like, that's not really good self-care. So I think that sometimes it's okay to just be anxious. It's okay to be scared and take time to kind of maybe reflect on that and just feel what you're feeling and know that that's okay.
Mm-hmm. And knowing that those feelings are temporary. So sitting with those and accepting them. And like Sarah said, it's within our nature, I think, especially not even just ourselves individually, but with other people that we love and care about. Mm-hmm. When they're having a hard time and when they're feeling down, we want to make that go away for them. We have good intentions, but sometimes it's okay if someone's going through something really hard to say, I'm sorry, but I'm here for you. I'm sorry you're feeling that way, but I'm here for you. Let me know if I can help you. Because hard feelings are also a part of life, and they're just as important as those good feelings are. And learning to sit with that negative emotion and really kind of accept it makes those a lot easier to deal with when they come up again. And having someone validate those feelings for you and not want to push them away and not want to make you be in a better mood and be happy, because that kind of makes us
feel invalidated a little bit.
Yeah, and less likely to express that later if we think that it's not going to be responded to very well, if people are always just wanting to make us feel better. And sometimes I even say that. I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm not really wanting you to make me feel better right now. Like, I want to feel this. I want to sit with this. I want to experience it. Like, it's okay. I just want you to listen to me right now.
And I think that's hard for people who don't take time to learn about mental health and really kind of learn about just all of this stuff that we're talking about. If you're not taught how to kind of interact with your emotions and other people's emotions around you, you don't know what you don't know. And so I think that's something that we both have really grew in the past few years, especially just with a lot of things that we've went through in our personal lives. And again, Rachel's, all of her education that she has, like she has really just shared a lot with me. And I feel like we've just had like so many light bulbs go off over the years. We're like, oh wow. And we've just learned a whole lot. So yeah, experience your emotions and know that that's okay. So the last one in the emotional realm of things that we're going to be talking about is practice gratitude. So I think practice gratitude is something that you hear a lot. A lot of people talk about, in the morning, first thing I do when I wake up is I list off 5 things that I'm grateful for. And it's something that a lot of times I myself just kind of roll my eyes at because I'm like, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, yes, I'm grateful. I know it. I don't need to like say it to the universe or anything like that. But I do think that there's a lot of good that can come from practicing gratitude every single day. Do you have anything to add?
And one way that we can practice gratitude, everybody's different. So if it's something that you want to be intentional about, like creating a gratitude jar. So there's all kinds of stuff online that you can find for like little prompts. It'll ask you specific things about what you're grateful for, or you can just write down things that you're grateful for and throwing them into that jar. And that's sort of like a visual that gives you like a sense of how much you have to be grateful for. That doesn't mean that we're still not allowed to experience hard feelings, even though we have a lot to be grateful for. But practicing gratitude fosters that mindset. It helps foster resiliency, creating an attitude of gratitude. I'm not going to go into the research aspect of it, but there's a lot of research out there that talks about how having a mindset of gratitude helps to foster resiliency to overcome. So you can research that on your own if you want.
It's definitely something that we like to roll our eyes at, but it's really important. And I do think that, when we take time to really sit and think about things that we're grateful for, it puts you in a better mindset. You know what I mean? Like I do feel grateful when I sit and think about what I'm grateful for. So I think it's definitely something that we should practice. When I was doing some research for this video, every single website that I went to, like one of the top 5, top 10 emotional self-care tips was practice gratitude. So there's something to it if the professionals are saying to do it. So it's on the list.
Google it.
Google it. So the next part that we're going to talk about is mental self-care. Now, obviously, this list is these are just 5 little tips. This list could be enormous. I mean, there's so many different things that you could do to practice self-care mentally. And again, like Rachel keeps saying, it's all individualized because we are all different people with different experiences and we have different needs. So I just want to keep saying that, that this is not kind of a one-size-fits-all list. These are just some of the most popular ones that I saw when researching, and just ones I wanted to share, ones that I thought would be super helpful. But again, this is not like a extensive list. So the first mental self-care tip that I want to share is creating a routine. And Rachel's kind of a stickler for routines, especially with sleeping and stuff like that. So I'm kind of going to let her elaborate on this one.
So we all function better when we have some sort of structure in our lives. We all know that things feel more overwhelming when they're chaotic. And right now might be one of those times where our routines are a little out of order, or we have no routine whatsoever. So maybe we got to create a new one. And that can be as simple as making sure you're getting up and going to bed at the same time. Scheduling activities for yourself throughout the day that you normally would have done at a specific time. It just helps us create that structure, and it makes sure that we're getting those things done that we want to get done, and feeling that sense of accomplishment is still good. I know we'll get into sleep later, but routine and sleep hygiene kind of go in together. So.
So the next one we're going to talk about is unplug from technology. This kind of goes back to what we were talking about a little bit with unfollowing negative people on social media, but unplugging from technology is as simple as putting your phone down for a couple hours. Don't spend so much time scrolling Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever, but also maybe you need to unplug from TV as well, like video games, if that's something that you do. I think that there's so much positivity that can come from being in nature and being outside, or even just being like in your house, but not messing with technology.
Yeah, and I think that, read a book, do some yoga, do some meditation, guided imagery, mindfulness, relaxation. Those are all things that you can look up and find on YouTube. There are some great videos out there. But really just giving yourself some of that, like she said, away from that screen time, because we know that stimulates our brain. And I don't think that we realize kind of how draining that can be sometimes.
Absolutely. So the next one kind of goes back again to the avoiding negative people, but it's avoiding toxic people. And the reason I put it in the mental category is because, right now we may not be physically near people, but maybe you have a friend or a family member who's calling you every day, and they're just like pouring all of their anxiety over what's going on in the world on you, or they're texting you. And I just feel like, for me personally, the past few weeks, I'm a super social person, so I have a lot of group chats, and I'm always kind of talking to people, like just kind of I'm in constant communications, which I think everyone is these days. But I feel like I have a few people in my life who just pour everything onto me, and a lot of times it can be very toxic. They may not even mean for it to be toxic, but they're just kind of like venting to you, but because you're getting it from this person and this person and this person, it's just kind of too much. And to me, that's toxic. You're kind of creating a toxic lifestyle for yourself by not setting up appropriate boundaries in that way. So avoid toxic people, but not necessarily because they're toxic, but maybe their actions are just toxic. Does that make sense? Do you have anything you want to add to that one?
Yeah, so that kind of reminds me, talking about like your social needs, that's one thing that we also have to remember is, what are our social needs? And that really ties into our mental self-care, because if we know that we have social needs, like I feel like for the most part, like I'm a people person, I have to be, I'm a therapist, but I also consider myself to be an introvert. And I know that like I like to keep my distance because of the nature of my job. Like I like to go home at the end of the day and only have to spend time with my significant significant other and my cats. Like, I like not having to interact with anyone else.
Yeah.
Now there are some days in which I'm like, okay, like, I'm feeling like I want to get out of the house and be around people today and go do things and be social. And acknowledging how that changes and how it might be different for you every day. And like how Sarah says, she's social and she likes to have that interaction, but then sometimes that can lead to being really quickly drained. So acknowledging like, hey, I'm pretty social, but like my social needs right now are being met. Like, so now maybe my introvert needs kind of need to be met. Maybe I need to tell someone, hey, you know what? I really want to be here for you today, but like I just don't have it in me. Like, I kind of need to rest today, and that's okay telling people that. And hopefully they, if they're, you know,
emotionally mature,
right, they will be able to handle that information.
I think something that I've learned, this is kind of a side tangent, but that's fine. It's my video. I can talk about what I want. So something that I've learned from Rachel is to maybe ask people, hey, like, are you in the emotional place today to kind of take on my crap? Like, if I have something that I'm like, oh, I just want to vent about, I will, you know, I try to remember to like ask her, hey, you know, are you able to deal with this today? Because I know the nature of her job, and you know it's a lot. Like I don't think I could do it because it's so emotionally draining. So yeah, I think just asking people, you know, hey, like, can you take this on today? Like, are you available to talk? Are you available to, you know, do you have it in you to put up with me and my stuff? So, because it's a lot, you know, like life is hard and everyone's really stressed out right now, and maybe they love you, but they just can't take it. Doesn't mean they don't love you or respect you or care about you or what you're going through, but you know, everybody has it kind of piling on them right now. So maybe just asking, hey, like, do you have it in you to listen to me today?
Yeah, and that kind of, you know, not only prepares them to, you know, they know that they're going to have to create a space for you right now to release that. So, you know, if you didn't give them, it's sort of respect for both of you and your time and your energy.
Like a heads up, here's what's coming.
Because if you let them know, like if she tells me like she's got something going on, and she's like, hey, do you have, like, do you got the capacity for this today? And if I don't, I'm going to say like, no, I don't. But if I do, I'm like, yeah, I do. So I know that what she's going to tell me probably is, you know, going to be her venting or something maybe heavy. And so I can create an appropriate space for her to express that. But not only that, like if she were to come at me and I had a rough day, like I may not be as receptive, or maybe if she's telling me something, I'm going to be like, well, you just need to do this, which I wouldn't do that. But some people might, like if they're not prepared, like, and it's okay to say, hey, you know what, like I've got something going on, can I just vent about it? Like, I don't want your advice, I don't want to, you know, I just want to complain. Like, I really just need to complain right now, and that's okay. And you know, maybe if they weren't prepared for that, they might try to give you that advice, or they may not really be open to, or maybe they might not really take the way that you're expressing things to them in the right way. Maybe like their feelings might get hurt in some way.
Right.
So it just kind of sets you both up for success in that situation.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I feel like something that we both have learned, I mean, because we're sisters, we're around the same age, we grew up together, obviously, and so I think that, you know, our relationship has seen different stages, but I think over the past couple years, it's just gotten a lot better because we've learned all these things and we really try to put them into practice, especially since she's like started her career, and, you know, like I said, you know, she's a therapist, and so she takes on a lot throughout the day. So I think that whenever you have people in your life that you're around a lot, I think it's really good to like educate yourself on these types of things, because it really is just beneficial for you both. So, okay guys, so the last part that we're going to talk about are physical self-care tips. So the first one is going to be going for a walk. Now this is something, because I work from home, I'm home a lot. I actually have a treadmill downstairs, but do we ever use the treadmill that we buy? No. So something I've been trying to do since it's been warmer here in Ohio is to actually get outside and go walk. So for the past week, I've been really diligent about it, and I've noticed a huge change in my overall mood, my productivity, my motivation. So getting out there and just moving your body is, we all know, it's like the best thing for you. It's necessary. So yeah.
Getting your body moving gets, in layman's terms, gets those good chemicals flowing, and improves our mood. We know that exercise, you know, releases good endorphins, makes us feel better. So going for a walk, it's usually rainy at this time of year in Ohio. I think, fortunately, it's not rained too much lately, but even if you can't for the nature piece of it, go outside for a walk, open your window, at least maybe hear the sounds from nature, get some, I mean, we all know that fresh air, it has a smell as much as we can't explain it. Like, get some of that fresh air, hear those birds chirping, hear the wind blowing, the leaves rattling. Those things are good too.
Yeah. The next thing is stretching. It doesn't have to be like full on yoga, but just stretching your legs or your arms or your neck, or just kind of like get your muscles flowing. It kind of goes hand in hand with the first one, but stretching is different than walking. So yeah, I think every time I have a lot of like neck and shoulder issues, so I try to incorporate stretching every day, you know, into my routine, because I have to. If not, I get headaches, and that's a whole mess. So I try to really stretch, and I always feel just really good afterwards. It relaxes you and kind of just, I don't know, get you in a good place. So the third one is do a face mask. Now, my channel is mainly about makeup and beauty and things like that. So I had to include something beauty related, and I love face masks. I have a ton of them. I use them weekly. And listen, guys and girls both can use face masks. Listen, my fiance, he loves face masks. Like, he
loves skincare.
Yeah, it works for him too. He looks really good. So yeah, I think that that kind of ties into just like the fun beauty things that we like to do, like taking a bath, a face mask. Those things are just really fun, and they do, you know, make me feel better. And it is like actually taking care of your physical body. You're taking care of your skin, which is going to make you look good, which is going to make you feel good when you put your makeup on. So, you know, it's beneficial to do some face masks. Listen, we all need some face masks every now and then. So, let's see. The next one is something that Rachel is very passionate about, and that is getting the appropriate amount of sleep. And the reason I say appropriate amount is because everyone requires kind of a different amount of sleep, like depending on who you are. Like our stepdad, he could sleep for probably 3 hours a night and be totally fine, like ready to rock and roll. But like, I think we both need like at least 8 or 9 hours. Like I'm a more like, I need more sleep than a lot of people, I think. But
I think everybody needs way more than 3 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say that. Like, he's probably not getting good restful sleep.
Yeah.
He can function. That doesn't mean he's getting good sleep.
That's true.
But yeah, so I might run really well and do well on 6 hours, and Sarah may need 8 or 9.
Mm-hmm.
But, again, like I said, this ties into kind of like routines. Our sleep hygiene can really suffer if we are lacking that routine, especially if maybe, you know, we are working from home, or maybe you're a teacher and you don't have to go into school right now. Mm-hmm. So I know that that's
online
difficult.
Students.
Yeah, online students. Like, it's really hard to maintain a good sleep schedule, but like that's part of our responsibility as taking care of ourselves is making sure that, you know, we're at least trying to go to bed around the same time and wake up around the same time. And if you're not getting good sleep, like maybe you take a long time to fall asleep and then you wake up a lot during the night once you do fall asleep. Like, maybe you should talk to a medical provider. You know, I mean, because they might have some recommendations. Like, maybe they could recommend. Yeah, I don't ever make recommendations for medicine since it's out of my scope of practice. Even over the counter things, I don't make recommendations. I always say, you know, we try relaxation, creating a calming bedtime routine, keeping that schedule. And also part of our physical activity. If we're used to getting out and doing things and being more active, and now we're really sedentary, we've got a lot of that energy that we're not using now. So it can be hard to get some restful sleep if we've got all that energy pent up. But definitely, if you're still struggling to get good sleep, I would have that talk with my medical provider.
So something you may have noticed Rachel talk about a lot in this video is sleep hygiene. Now that concept is a little new for me. So Rachel, do you want to elaborate on what exactly is sleep hygiene?
Well, when we think about our hygiene for our bodies, what does that include? We shower, and we wash our hair, and we wear deodorant. So
you should, if you're not.
Those are, maybe we should do a video on that.
Coming.
So sleep hygiene is kind of that same, like creating an environment for yourself that's conducive to good sleep. So not watching the TV, not leaving lights on in your house. Maybe if you are someone who can't sleep in a quiet room, like turning on your ceiling fan or having a white noise machine. Sometimes if we're light sleepers, things like that wake us up. So if we have a little bit of background noise, we're going to be less likely to awaken by little random sounds throughout the night. Avoiding caffeine close to bedtime, avoiding taking naps during the day, and avoiding things like nicotine close to bedtime as well, and eating big meals. Again, creating that relaxing bedtime routine. I am guilty of laying on my phone, scrolling through Facebook
And we all are.
until I fall asleep. Now, does that work for me? Do I eventually fall asleep? Yeah. Would I probably sleep better if I didn't do that? Like, would I fall asleep faster? I would say more than likely, yeah.
Right.
But doing things, and it doesn't have to be like this big elaborate bedtime routine. Just doing things, maybe some deep breathing, some meditation before you're going to bed to relax.
Listen to
if you're
the
struggling.
sleep stories. I listen to the sleep stories sometimes.
Yeah,
those are really
nice.
good.
Yeah.
That man's voice is like, he's like an old man, and he just like puts you to sleep. I'm like, it's like a little papa reading you a story.
There's some good apps too that we can put below in the links that are they have some good sleep things like that.
So the fifth and final physical self-care tip that we want to mention is to scream loudly into a pillow and just let it all out. I mean, it seems kind of silly, but sometimes you just need to scream. And, you might scare people in your house if you just scream. So maybe screaming into a pillow. Yeah, or your neighbors, or, depending on where you live. So, yeah, I think just, being able to, let loose and, physically just, get it out. I mean, that helps. And if you're in a place where you just feel so overwhelmed by whatever's going on, maybe you need to try it. I've done it before, and it helps.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's depending on what kind of person you are. I know when I'm frustrated, I often I make that noise that she just made. Yeah, just, it comes out. But I mean, is it serving a purpose? No, but I feel better. And I'm not doing it at anybody, but it just makes me feel better.
Yeah. And since we're talking about the physical self-care, I think that it releases something in your body. Sometimes I know a lot of people, if you're a runner, they'll oh, I'm so mad, I'm just gonna go take a run, and you feel better. To me, it's kind of the same idea. You're doing something that's getting it out.
It's expressing.
Yeah, it's expressing.
We all feel better about things once we let them go.
Yeah. So I just thought it was kind of funny, but also very helpful. So obviously self-care is very individualized. It depends on, like we've said, the person, because everyone has different experiences and different needs. So Rachel's kind of going to talk about that in a little bit more detail.
So I definitely think that the most important part of developing a good self-care plan for yourself is to first identify what your needs are. So, if you are that social person, and making sure that you're giving yourself those opportunities to fulfill those needs. If you're not a social person, maybe making sure that you're limiting that social interaction. Thinking about growth and goal setting, if those things are important to you. I know that I like to learn new things, so that would come in sort of educational. I like to read educational books. Of course, I kind of have to keep learning about things. If your religion is one of those things, that's one of those important needs.
Your spiritual needs.
Yeah, so if it's, I know that a lot of people are limited to church right now. Maybe your church is live streaming, maybe they're not. Maybe it's just connecting with your brothers and sisters from church to maintain those connections and meet those religious needs right now. Cultural needs, humor. If you're someone, I love lighthearted things. I hate to come home after work and watch I don't watch
heavy
TV shows that are emotional. I can't, because I don't have the capacity for that at the end of the day. I mean, I could throw in a Disney movie and be great.
For me, it's a Christmas movie.
Yeah. So, and humor, I like to laugh. So throughout your day, maybe you're having a rough day and you're driving along, listening to a comedian or something. Creativity. So that could be cooking. I like to cook. So that's one of my self-care things is I cook every single day because it makes me feel good. And maybe that's drawing or painting or coloring for you. Productivity, so feeling accomplished. So if you have to have that sense of, I have done, create a checklist.
Yeah.
And
I do that.
Even just small things,
be dishes.
Yeah.
Scooping the litter box, whatever,
Right.
I can check it off and I'm I've done something that's productive.
Yeah. So figuring out what is it, what things make me feel good. Because self-care, like I've said, it's not about relaxation. It's not about like...
It's not all bubble baths and face masks.
Right. And there's actually a quote, I can't ever find anybody that it's connected to, like who actually said it, but you know, self-care is creating a life that you don't need to regularly escape from. So self-care isn't, you know, in addition to our daily lives. Self-care should be, you know, incorporated into our daily lives. And that's something that was really ingrained in me in grad school, because it kind of has to be. You know, I have to make sure that I'm taking good care of myself, but really everybody should, regardless of what we do. We all encounter difficult people and situations, and sometimes, you know, that's just the people that we live with in our homes. And making sure that we're in a good spot for ourselves, it makes us a better person for other people.
How can someone discover what their needs are?
So I would think about like a time, like maybe a time when you were having a hard day. What did you need? What did you think about, like, you know, did you think about calling somebody? Did you think about, you know, I know one thing that I always enjoyed, especially whenever I used to be community-based, was if I was having a really rough day and I had all of my regular self-care things that were in place and I was still just feeling really like one of the things that I would do is like I would call Sara and talk with Sara, or you know, I would go get an ice cream cone because I love Jenny's ice cream, and that was something that would always make me feel better. I mean, obviously I can't eat an ice cream cone every time I'm sad because that's also not good for my body. You know, eating well is also part of our physical self-care needs.
Yeah.
But that would be something that was but why? Like, why did that make me feel better? Thinking about like why do things make me feel better can help you identify your needs. Like for me, like having a Jenny's ice cream cone, because if you've had Jenny's, you know, it's an experience.
Good.
You're using all of your senses. I'm thinking about the temperature of the ice cream, the texture, the flavor, the smells, like, and that's sort of a mindfulness technique in itself, really, using your senses.
If that flavor is connected to something that,
right,
you know, something that like, oh, like your mom used to make or your mama used to make, like something, if it's connected in some way, which that could be a lot of different things, music or food or certain spots, like if you have like a park that you like to go to because you and your, you know, you and your dad always went to that park or whatever.
Yeah. So figuring out, thinking about those hard days, what did you need? Like what would have helped you to feel better, do you think? Or when you do find things that you enjoy, what do you enjoy about it? Like what does that add to your life? And that's kind of how you help identify like what need is it fulfilling? Like obviously I enjoy this for a reason. It makes me feel good. So like I said, you know, I really like Disney movies, but why? Well, it helps fulfill like that humor need for me. Cooking is my creativity need. I'm definitely not artistic, so
we did not get the artistic gene in this family, that's for sure. It skipped us right on over. Alright guys, that wraps up this video. I hope you really enjoyed it. I hope that you guys will take some time to explore and implement some self-care into your daily routines. Below, there's going to be some resources for you guys if you're struggling. Rachel's going to talk about that.
Yeah, so we've provided a crisis number that you can call. It's 24 hours, 7 days a week, or if you don't like to call people or feels a little uncomfortable, there's also a text crisis number that you can utilize. And as always, you know, if you're struggling and it's an emergency, call 911.
Yeah, absolutely. If you guys like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. I'm almost to 100 subscribers. Please feel free to share this video with anyone that you think that would benefit from it. And I think that's it. Thanks, Rachel, for being here and talking with us today. And hopefully she'll be back in a future video. She likes to cook, so I'm trying to get her to do a recipe video. So that would be super fun in the future. But thanks for watching this video, guys. We love you, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.
I did this like seriously 20 times, so it's fine. I taste like cricket. Mine do too, it's fine. I'm further away than you are or something. I feel like my head's a lot bigger than yours. It's so weird. Natural laugh, like yeah. I wonder if we should like get glasses on. Have like papers. Well, I wear contacts for a reason today. Then to make us look more smart. Should have done this so my boobs look bigger. Can we take another picture? Sure, we're still going. Hang on. We're really gonna get some views now. Oh my god. Okay. Sugar communication. Yeah, but it doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. Crap, what am I saying again? Creating. Dumb. Okay. It's lunchtime. I haven't had lunch yet, so my sassiness is coming out. Hangry. But yeah, something that I lost in train of thought. See? I started thinking about lunch. If they have skin on their face. I hope they have skin on their face. I don't even know what I was trying to say. I was gonna say they have skin on their face, so they need a mask too, but that made no sense. It was hilarious. Wow. Something that Rachel says a lot is, 3, 2, being that important.